Welcome back to Comics, the podcast where me and my mom look through our comic book collection 2 issues at a time. And today we're looking at Fantastic Four from 1986 with Nick Fury, She-Hulk, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and Hitler.
They really gave Nick Fury the Reed Richards kind of hair look.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I thought that's just what happened when you got older. Is the sides of your head went completely white.
Where is Reed?
He's up here. Well, where's Ben? You don't think about the thing?
Well, you think he's off in the corner crying until he gets mad. I'm sorry, Thing. You are one of my favorites, but he is a moody guy.
What do you think of Invisible Woman's short haircut? That's immediately how I knew this was an 80s comic before I looked at the copyright. Mm-hmm. It's just I remember growing up reading comics from this era, and I think Storm had a similar do at this point, like that short.
Oh. I think
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not pulled up. It's just like a shorter haircut, but it's kind of long in the front.
Yeah.
I think that was just trendy in that time or something.
Yeah, if Sue could, control her hair when she's inhuman, when she's,
just
visible.
Make it invisible?
Yeah.
Just her hair?
Just her hair. Oh,
so she's bald. She could just make part of her hair invisible. Then she doesn't have to get a haircut.
Just the back, and you can see her brains.
Ew.
Ew.
Yeah, that would be funny if she could just make her skin invisible.
Yeah.
Or her bones or something. Or her
Make it easy going to the doctor.
Selective invisibility.
Ew. Wouldn't that be great? I would totally use that power to freak people out. Always. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
As long as you're freaking people out, I guess.
That's what powers are for.
That's why you don't have them. You couldn't handle it. So, the man who dreamed the world. They're flying in an invisible craft that
Who is that?
the Invisible Woman is able to manifest with her powers. He's got Hulk pants on.
Yeah, who is that?
Well, you'll find out in a moment. There's an opening in the back of the invisible craft, and Human Torch can blast, propel them forward.
Oh,
And there's,
gosh.
weirdly enough, there's a quote from Percy Shelley. He hath wakened from the dream of life. This was written by John Byrne. And I could have swore, I think we might have read a different John Byrne that that had some kind of literary quote on the first page.
Oh,
Or maybe it
yeah.
was The Outsiders. Maybe that wasn't John Byrne, but it's a classy move. So,
Nice.
the first few pages are like, how did we get here? But isn't it weird? What do you notice first about this panel? Maybe
Why
it's
is
just-
everyone pink?
Yeah, and why
Her
her
lips,
lips are all whited out accidentally, and it makes it look like a weird mustache or something.
Wow.
I don't know if it's just our copy,
And yeah.
but it persists into this next panel. The rest of the comic, I didn't notice it, but yeah, there's a weird coloring error, and I think these are supposed to be earrings, but it's kind of similar to what's happening there, so it looks like her earlobes are turning white too.
Yeah, I mean, the complement of green is red, but that's going a little far.
I don't like this haircut on her. It looks too much like her brother's now.
Ew, yeah.
She
Yeah.
just wants to be just like her brother.
You know, that's really funny. You bring up that I'm not responsible enough to have powers. And I really don't like Johnny Storm because he's so irresponsible. But together, we would be a nightmare. You know?
I agree.
I might be projecting, but...
Yeah, he's always been my least favorite member of the Fantastic Four, I think.
Yeah.
I think he gets pigeonholed into a rebellious,
Teenager
angsty kind
yeah.
of, yeah. Because Reed and Sue are like the parents, and sometimes it's weird they depict Johnny and the Thing as their kids
Yeah,
or
petulant
something,
children.
that they have
Yeah.
to keep in line, which becomes even weirder because then they actually have kids. later
they're-
in the series.
Their kid becomes one of the most powerful creatures on.
I know, he can just
The
do
universe.
anything. He has like reality shaping powers, which is just like
Yeah,
you can do
it's
whatever you want, I
nuts.
guess. So anyway, they're all talking about like, isn't it cool that we could fly in this invisible thing? And she's like, yeah, I was working on this ability to like make a craft out of my invisible bubble before Reed was killed. So
What?
yeah. It's a variation on something Reed and I were working on before he was killed, She-Hulk. After we used one of my fields to glide down from orbit, Reed felt it might be possible to utilize them even more efficiently, but we'd only just started experimenting with the possibilities. So that was back in Fantastic Four 279. This is issue
Wow.
292. So not only is Reed dead, apparently, the thing is gone. They don't address why he's gone in this whole issue. It must have been like,
He probably can't deal with his friend being gone.
yeah, that would do it. Well, She-Hulk has subbed in for him, I think, on more than one occasion, unless it was just a really long stretch. So maybe it's just been the status quo for long enough that they don't feel like they have to remind us why the thing's not there. I don't think he's dead, though, because I think he had some
Can
kind
he
of
die?
problem with Reed or something where he quit. Like, Reed could have turned him back to normal, but he didn't or something. Or maybe it was, I think he gets, like, really scarred or further mutated at some
Yes.
point.
Yes.
Maybe it was that. So anyway, he's not there. They're all recalling what had just happened. Apparently they were in the SHIELD space station, and they were just coming back from the negative zone with Nick Fury. They were on some adventure in the negative zone and then had escaped from the negative zone to the SHIELD space station. And when they landed back down in New York, somehow everything looked like it was in 1936.
Oh, crap.
And so they were able to use like a hologram projector to make their futuristic space car thing here look like an old UPS truck. But then after they drove for a while, it started looking like 1986 again. And to illustrate that further, the Torch took off immediately to check on the welfare of his girlfriend, while we hightailed it to the nearest SHIELD base. There's that space car again, which wasn't there because all of a sudden it was 1936 again. So I think
Oh.
that was like a fake wall in 1986, but it turned back to 1936 before they could make it through that artificial barrier, and they crashed. But they're okay because the car was built to take that kind of punishment without a scratch. But Nick Fury
Jeez.
cracked his head on the steering wheel.
Of course. And if it was Samuel L., he'd be like, what would he say?
He wouldn't be pleased. Like, why are Sue's lips white?
Well, yeah. He'd be all over that.
It's weird. One thing I've always wondered with the Human Torch is how they draw these little lines all over his body to illustrate, like, what part of him is becoming hot. Why do they do that? The straight
Well,
lines on his arms. You know what I mean? Or when he's in full torch, it's all over his body, the strip long. Like, why can't they just have it be red and fire? They also have to put these little lines. And
But
then
think
there's
about
these
it, if
lines
it-
of, like, where his gloves are, I guess.
But if it were flat shapes, it wouldn't be as interesting looking, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and then motion lines, kind of, because fire moves.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
could imply some sort of motion, or
If it was
but-
just solid red, it would be a little boring, you think?
I think so. It would be kind of like parts of his car. Just,
Boring.
yeah.
Take those lines away. It's crap. No, I get what you're
My
saying.
car
though.
has motion lines, doesn't yours? When I'm driving, people see it.
Yeah. So, this is where our purple pants friend comes in. Mr. Hulk Pants here.
It's
In every
Hulk.
Marvel comic in this era, it was mandatory at least one person has to wear Hulk-colored pants.
Hey,
Because they probably made a bunch of them. They had a partnership with Levi's. They
Think
gotta
about
move
it,
these
though.
Hulk pants.
DC Comics has its own group of purple pants.
That's true.
Bad
Maybe
guys.
purple pants were just cool.
I don't remember owning any purple pants.
I don't think I've ever had purple pants.
I don't remember buying.
So
the
anyway,
pants.
She-Hulk saves this guy. Some locals were trying to run him down in their car, 1936 style.
On purpose?
Yeah, intentionally. But she picked up their car, and she's doing like a Superman kind of thing.
Her outfit back in the 30s would be scandalous.
Yeah, scandalous now.
Now see, Sue's got color in her lips.
Yeah, she's still got that weird. Maybe they're just so glossy. The sun is.
She spits
There's
a
like
lot.
a sunspot. So anyway, Human Torch is giving She-Hulk a hard time about that because they're not supposed to mess with the time stream. They're like, oh,
Right.
we're following time traveling rules. Saving this guy's life could have huge ramifications. So that's why they brought him along to where they're going now, because they're like, well, if he is brought out of his natural surroundings, maybe he won't do something that changes everything in the butterfly effect kind of way.
Dang.
So, where are they going now? They are actually chasing after Nick Fury. They're going to Berlin because they believe that Fury's going to kill Adolf Hitler since they're in 1936.
It was just something on his in his little notebook.
If I'm ever in 1936, kill Hitler. Buy some of those purple pants before they get too expensive. Look at this. It's a watch robot. Bonkers Fruit Candy bonks you out of this world with a robot watch. The Bonkers robot watch is 2 kinds of space age fun. On your wrist, it's a digital watch. Off the strap, it transforms into a robot. You can get it from Bonkers, the fruit candy with the super fruity middle. And Bonkers comes in 4 out of this world flavors: strawberry, grape, orange, and watermelon. I think I'd want watermelon.
I'd go strawberry.
I wonder what it looks like with the wrapper off, though. Is
I
it
wonder, like a precursor to like Laffy Taffy, or
That's what I was thinking.
I've never heard of Bonkers.
I like the illustration on these flames and these clouds. That's really good. I like the, I guess the inking, the cross-hatching on the clouds there.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, those are nice panels.
So they mention, I think they do in this comic, they recognize that it's currently 1986, or it's supposed to be, and they're back in 1936. So how old does that make Nick Fury? Because he's like, we actually see that in the next part, because he indeed is trying to kill Hitler. So he's in,
As it turns out, he's
doing
working on his
exactly what
bucket
you-
list.
Yeah. Somebody in this comic has to have white sides of their hairs.
Oh,
Reed's gone
goodness.
for now, so he showed up. And I like this illustration of the Hitler's palace or whatever. He's already killed a guard, or at least knocked him out, so who knows if he's going to mess with the time stream now.
Exactly. You think that he...
He's already done it. Who knows what that guy was going to do.
But if he was around during World War II, and then in the 80s, he'd only be 50-something. Well, no.
If he was 0?
60.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
He was 0
70.
back.
He'd be
yeah,
70.
He was probably, if I remember all those
Yeah, that's right.
Howling Commandos comics, he's still got the white burns back then. He was
That's
old
true.
then.
That's true.
I
Wow.
think.
And he's not a mutant, is he?
No, I think he takes like a super soldier serum, like
Oh,
Captain
okay, like Cap.
America.
Okay.
That must be it. So anyway, Thundercats,
Thundercats.
the comic.
I love Thundercats.
I didn't realize that was a Marvel comic.
I didn't either. I don't think we have any.
I don't think so. I've never seen one. I really like the detail on some of these. Like,
That's nice.
These ornate little furnishings. And he's remembering, he's like, oh, this place is even more impressive than I remember it, but when I came here with the Howling Commandos, it was near the end of the war, so things were headed downhill for the Third
Gotcha.
Reich.
That's a big gun he's got.
I like the action in these
Yeah.
panels. Yeah, it's goofy. It's kind of cartoony
I
for
like
a
it.
second, but it's a weird transition from, like,
Him
there's a
sneaking.
suggestion of detail,
Yeah.
but like a lot of it's like left unconnected to or uncolored,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it gets really close
Realistic.
to everything. Yeah. So he just sees him. He's pointing at something, I guess. He's like, and he starts shooting at him, and he shoots his hat even, and shoots above him. You think he'd be better at shooting?
Yeah, you think he'd practice a little bit.
I mean, had no idea he was there. He could have just sprayed the whole place with bullets, but he missed like every shot. So he's like, "This is gonna make sure you don't start World War II, because in some crazy way, I've been handed a second chance, a chance to stop the nightmare before it even starts. And I mean to use that chance, baby. Use it for all them folks that'll get slaughtered in your war." So, if he just didn't say that, he could have killed him. But some guards storm in and shoot him. I like how the backdrop turns red. Is this the end of Nick Fury? That would suck to go through World War II and then you end up going back in time to World War II.
To the
beginning. Damn it, I thought I made it through this. Now they send me back just to die. I already lived through it once.
Look at the detail on that.
I know, that's cool.
Wow.
I like how the craft changes shape to help them land.
Oh, yeah.
Still don't like that haircut on Invisible Woman, though. So they're talking about trying not to change history, and they gotta, even though it'd be good to kill Hitler, they gotta stop Nick Fury. They're like, "Do you think he already did it?" She's like, "No, I'm sure if Nick had already killed Hitler, we'd sense it somehow. It would change history, change everything we've experienced throughout our whole lives." You mean what would have happened if the Beyonder had zapped Dr. Doom? That happened in 289. Reed figured that would have messed things up pretty good too. Something like that, but in that case it was because Dr. Doom was displaced in time and the Beyonder wasn't. I'm afraid it's all too confusing without Reed to explain the details. This looks like a way in. Are you still getting something? Getting Fury's homing signal? Excuse me.
Like She-Hulk needs a way in. She could just punch.
She definitely does. Well, she does exactly what she said. Well, she's even surprised because she's like, "I hardly touched it." And she's like, "I know I'm almost as strong as the Hulk, but this is crazy." Maybe not. It seems like all her powers are operating at a boosted level. I like these little smears for the rain. I wonder how they do that. It's like a coloring thing, I guess. Or maybe the inker does the lines and then they just... That's probably what they did to her lips that one time. Got rainy lips.
It's great expression, though.
I really like these two panels together. Yeah, that's cool. I think that's a fun thing about the She-Hulk character that you don't get with the Thing, is because they're playing on the stereotypes of women not being as physically strong. So you get the funny moments of holy crap, I'm really strong. Whereas the Thing, you expect him to be inherently strong because that's his whole shtick is being a macho kind of rugged guy. Which isn't, how much can you really do with that? It becomes just a cliche.
Well, he's strong to a point, right? Where the Hulk is...
The Hulk has historically been a lot stronger than the Thing.
There's no end to...
It's exponential, yeah. As long as he keeps getting madder. Whereas the Thing, he gets pretty mad, but it's not going to help him be any stronger.
You think that the bad guys would, with the Hulk, realize that it's his rage and, carry around little satchels of cute little kittens and bring them up. Here, Hulk.
To disarm him?
Yeah.
Well, that's why the Thing has to be so mouthy and sarcastic when he's fighting and call people metal brain schmuck.
Yeah.
He has to use his words because he only gets so strong, where the Hulk is usually not that eloquent. He doesn't need to be. He lets his infinite strength speak for him.
Right.
The Thing has to wound you with his words sometimes.
Well, he knows. He knows how words cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's
he
what
tries
most
to
of
act like he doesn't care what everybody thinks, but he really cares the most.
The beginning of every book that the Thing is in.
I think that's what's frustrating about his character is he can make a little bit of progress, but it's the Thing that defines him, so he always backslides to be everybody thinks I'm a monster, and you're like, what, didn't you get over that?
Yeah.
So, it's weird that they never have this guy talk or anything. He's just being led around by these superheroes, and they never give him any dialogue or anything.
Yeah. Do they ever address his identity?
They do.
Okay.
I don't know if that's why they make him not speak. They don't want to spoil the surprise, but I don't know. This is a cool robot, though. I love that reveal.
Yeah.
Whoa, big. Could have been a whole splash page, but just about. It's a really big panel. I like the scaffolding and the little figures working on it. It's cool. So these Nazi scientists are like, oh, this is the crew our leader was going to send here to test our robot. Everybody get ready. So they just start attacking them. But she's like, my force fields can handle cannon fire. It's no big deal. So Johnny's like, well, take it down because we need to whoop its ass, basically. Let's cream these Nazi bozos and find fury. Try not to hurt them, Johnny. America isn't at war with Germany and won't be for another 6 years. Well, I don't know if I'd worry too much about creating a diplomatic incident, Sue. After all, we haven't even been born yet. She doesn't really get it.
No.
I do like that sideways
That's nice.
sound effect to go
It
with
breaks.
her uppercut. It kind of follows the motion, and he's going down. So it's like a
Ooh.
down, up kind of.
I like how it overlaps margins of the panel too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Here too.
That's
Oh,
really
and it's
cool.
like her entering and then, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So they make pretty short work of it. I like how small she is compared to its foot. She flipped it over.
Wow.
And she has a cheerfulness, even though she's beating everyone up. The Thing, he can be like, he does that, it's clobbering time, and he gets into it, but it's more like he's resigned to kick your ass kind of thing.
Right.
It's a different personality. But I just say that because I remember being really bummed when I would get a Fantastic Four one and the Thing wasn't in it because he was one of my favorites. I was like, oh, they put She-Hulk in this one. But I feel like I can appreciate their differences and what they add
What
a
they
different
bring,
dynamic
yeah.
to the team. They do a good job of differentiating their characters even though they're both basically just super strong people. They're just
Yeah.
the tank of the group or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, they don't let that guy say a damn thing.
Jeez.
So they've caught Nick Fury and they're torturing him.
In his
This
underwear.
is some of the best art, though. It's gruesome looking.
Whoa.
His eyes all inflamed, and they're like, "This. We don't know what to make of this cloth he was wearing. It repelled the bullets, but they just stunned him instead of killing him. It's some kind of bulletproof, from 1986." Remember how all bulletproof clothing was so popular back in 1986?
In the 80s, yeah.
Yeah, it was all the rage. So they're like, we couldn't get him to say anything, and he's being sassy.
Go climb your thumb.
I've never heard that one. Tell that to people.
Is that like sit and spin or something?
I think so. So they're like, okay, you have 1 more hour to torture him, and you better get results. They're like, we will, for sure. Yeah, I like the orange or peach kind of color. It's a weird...
Yeah.
And then it kind of becomes the background color there. And that's cool that they go to hit him, only to be like, what? And they get repelled. They have those like horse riding pants with the...
Joffers.
Yeah, they've got bulging thighs. I don't know why. And Hitler's like, holy crap, it's a ghost. She slams the door. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
it's
great
very
expression.
cartoony. It looks like it would be in like a comic strip,
Yes.
not a comic book. I don't know what happened with the coloring there.
Ooh.
She's breaking out a little bit. But, hey, she is making only part of herself
She
visible.
is.
She's like in the process of becoming visible. And he's like, okay, just one more thing I gotta do. Kill Hitler like I was going to. I like how lumpy his side of his face is, though.
Yeah. Oof.
And she's trying to talk him out of it. She's like, look, I know it would save millions of people's lives, but what if the net result is even worse things happening? That old
Right.
argument. You can't try to change history, Nick. It's impossible. I know, Nick, I know, and I can't begin to explain it scientifically the way Reed would have, but the Fantastic Four went through a situation like this just a few weeks ago. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, she's got a point.
This really reminds me of like Batman in like The Dark Knight Returns when he gets all beat up, that Frank Miller comic.
Oh, yeah.
If we try to change the past, she said, we could destroy the future, destroy our own present. Hitler was the worst villain of them all, Nick, but we have to let him live. You're saying all them people have to die? That I can't? Not have to, Nick. Already have. It's already happened in our past. Now come on, Colonel. We've got to find some way to return to our own time. That's all that matters now. Yeah, you're right, I guess. And then Hitler loudly cocks his gun, and Nick's like, some bitch. Bam!
Whoa.
Yeah, you thought it wouldn't happen. Well, you probably saw that it happened as soon as you turned the page, but... And then it ends what was a simulation, kind of a cop-out ending. They're coming out of it. Esper units, break contact. What? Oh, she's still got red dots on her face. Easy, Mrs. Richards. Yeah, take care, darling. You're bound to be weak. Who? Reed? So Reed is alive. He's taken over the white-haired duties for this, the duration of this comic. He's like, Nick, you can start dyeing yours again. I've got the white sides of my head down. So they had been in the negative zone before this adventure, this new adventure, fighting Annihilus, and Reed was confronting him, trying to get back into the normal universe, the positive universe he calls it. As you know, when I had been initially drawn into the end zone, the force field surrounding my spacesuit had prevented my body undergoing the conversion to antimatter necessary to survive in the zone. I knew that if Annihilus and I should make physical contact, there would be a terrible explosion, but I also knew I had one slim chance provided the contact occurred in the distortion area, the transitional zone between the universes. My gamble worked. I like this thing where he's blasting out. Annihilus and my spacesuit, which were both in molecular flux, were blown into atoms, but I was fired out of the distortion area like a shell from a cannon.
A rubber shell.
We were just talking about cannon shells when that robot was shooting them. I like this X-Men cover they're advertising.
Don't we have that?
We might have that one. It looks familiar. There's a long... That's a whole theme we could do for, like, many episodes if we pick covers where the characters are destroying the cover.
Oh,
There's a lot of those. There's a Fantastic Four where Doom is crumpling the cover. It's like a whole trope. Anyway, the shock of that ejection rendered me unconscious. I drifted in near space, unable to summon assistance. Another human would have soon perished from explosive decompression, but my superelastic cells allowed my body to expand as the internal pressures forced outward. Hardly dignified, but certainly a lifesaver. So undignified to be a ball in space. So,
his head inside?
I guess, yeah.
Smelling his own farts.
Enjoying it. So she's like, why didn't you tell me that's what you were going to do? And she's like, because it was barely a theory. I didn't want to give you false hope. I just let you think I was dead instead.
Oh, man.
Instead of just saying, I might die doing this, but I might live. I'm just going to let you assume I die because I'm not sure if it's going to work. It's a weird line of reasoning. Their little white hairs are lining up in this panel.
Oh, yeah.
They have to have one ignorant speaking character at all times in Fantastic Four, and the thing is gone, so they have to have somebody who's dropping their G's and misspelling words like was with W-U-Z or bin with B-I-N. I don't know why they love doing that dialect thing, but it's dorky to me. Well, that's all just hunky-dory, but I got one question. What in blue blazes is going on here? They always have to have that dumb, streetwise character that gives the smart scientist characters an excuse to explain something in a way that we, the audience, are able to understand
it. It can't be She-Hulk. I mean, she's a lawyer.
Yeah, she's not dumb. She went to law school.
Jeez.
So, it all goes back to the purple-panted man, Joseph Licorice Calhoun, former clarinet player for Sweet Tommy Connor's jazz band. We located him in a charity ward at Midtown General Hospital and had him brought to this base for care and observation. Oh my gosh, it is him, our poor confused friend, but he looks 1,000,000 years old. 83 to be exact, She-Hulk.
Jeez.
You insensitive ass. And 50 of those years he has spent in deep coma. You recall what he told you after you saved him from being run down in 1936? No, we don't. Nobody remembers what he said because you didn't give him any dialogue. Oh yes, we know what happened. The SHIELD extrasensory perception unit has been monitoring all your thoughts throughout the entire experience. Mr. Calhoun told you that sometimes he had dreams that came true, dreams that seemed to actually alter the shape of reality itself. And we now know this was true. Mr. Calhoun possesses a powerful mutant brain. So he was destined to be killed by this car, but he was saved instead. Or I guess he was supposed to be run down and put into an irreversible coma. So he wasn't dead, but his mutant power was in check because he was unconscious.
Gotcha.
But she stopped that from happening. But the 1936 you seem to be in was a creation of Joseph Calhoun's mutant power. You see, for just a few moments a day or so ago, he began to emerge from his coma. It was a passing effect, but as he revived, his mind reached out to reshape the world in the image of the last thing he remembered. The last hours of his conscious life were replayed, and you four, flying down from the SHIELD space station, found yourself caught in one of the time waves. He was slipping in and out of coma, and his mind sent out ripples like those caused by dropping a pebble in a small pond, except that these had the appearance of being ripples in time itself. 1986 became 1936, became 1986, and so on, until you interfered with his replay of his memories, Jen. At that moment, you prevented the incident which had originally put him into a coma. His mutant mind locked into each of yours. You were drawn into his dream world of 1936, and because it was a dream, you found your own reality had taken on a vaguely dreamlike quality. Your powers were increased dramatically, for instance, but actually, none of you moved from the spot you occupied at the exact moment She-Hulk altered history. Our search teams found you frozen in 3 locations across the city.
Whoa.
Yeah, so a lot of it's just read. It's like a whole damn book.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
actually, everything makes complete sense, because first this thing happened, and then the mutant had a dream, and then you went back in time, but it was just time travel, dream travel. It wasn't real time travel. So that's kind of one of the fun things, though, about Fantastic Four is that Twilight Zone kind of aspect of it, where like something surreal or bizarre is happening.
But Reed can always explain their way out of it. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I almost wish though that with stuff like this, they had why not let it go for a few issues where they're at like time traveling and all this stuff, and then finally reveal. Would it be too much of a cop out or anticlimactic? But I think that would be more interesting. It would be more satisfying for me as a reader if they slowly started to learn that they were in this guy's dream, rather than be like, okay, suddenly the whole Hitler thing is done. They're not actually time traveling. This is what happened. The end.
Right.
It was just a little too fast.
But I don't know. Sometimes comics, they end like at an inopportune time, and you're like, ugh. And if you don't read the next one, you never know what's going on.
That's true.
And then sometimes
Makes it harder to get into.
And sometimes they wrap it up too neatly and too quickly.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both things.
Yeah.
I think one of their strategies is like, this could be anybody's first comic. That's one thing they say in the industry.
But you think that they could use that guy, that mutant.
Well, that's what I was thinking, is now that they revealed that he has that ability and he exists in this universe, I guess they could replay it, but then if you're familiar with the series, you know that's kind of just one of the cop-outs they have. That's the thing that I think they should tease it along longer. Because then how many excuses are you going to run through? Like, oh, that's this guy's ability, or this is, it's different universe, or whatever. And you can bring those things back, but it's never going to be the same as like the first time it happened.
Right.
It'll be like, oh yeah, I remember. They went back in time and it wasn't real. It's probably just that guy in the coma again.
But yeah, true. Or that they could, seeing as his dreams can manipulate time reality, that they could learn to use his powers within that coma. Like somebody could psionically connect with him or something and go into his brain and kind of
cool.
Manipulate the future as well as...
They could sell tickets. Go kill Hitler in this guy's dream.
Nick Fury buys all the tickets. Okay,
all
so
right,
my
let's see
pick,
what you did.
I went for one of the greatest heroes of
Superman?
all time. He-Man.
He-Man. What a redundant name. He-Man.
There's so much about this guy. So much. Do you remember watching his show?
Vaguely.
You didn't watch it for long, and you were really little. Because you used to, at bedtime, your dad would be Cringer or Battle Cat, and you'd ride him.
That Big Panther thing.
And you were so little, and you, I think you had a little sword, or maybe it was a, what is it from Star Wars?
Lightsaber?
Yeah, lightsaber. You go, by the power of Grayskull. And
Was
ride your
He-Man an
dad.
invention of the 80s? Or is he an older character than that?
I think, I don't know. I didn't look him up, but
This is 82.
82.
Oh, at least 82.
And I didn't watch it when I was a kid.
He must have been out for some time, though, to be crossing over to Superman, you would think. They don't just
Right.
let any passing fad just team up with Superman, the iconic DC
I don't
character.
know. They let Batman ride Superman.
Yeah, but I'm saying they don't let Furby ride him, you know? Like, you gotta have some staying power in pop culture.
True.
Maybe they let Furby. Maybe I missed that one.
Superman's got a whole...
Beanie Babies collection of In the Fortress of Solitude.
He just knew they were going to be worth something.
Thor cut all the price tags off.
That would definitely be something Thor would do.
Man, I remember I had that wiener dog Beanie Baby. I wish I still had that. That was like my
Oh,
prized
yeah.
Beanie Baby when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys had a lot of Beanie Babies. So anyway.
It's the classic two characters from different universes meet and they have to start by fighting each other.
Well, but you can see, as long as Skeletor magically controls me, I must attack He-Man. And that means I could die.
That's one nice caveat for Superman being so powerful as he's weak to magic. Otherwise, he'd be just... there
And
would
how
be
many
nothing.
people wield magic, really?
Quite a few in DC. Constantine,
Oh, there's Constantine, right?
Zatanna.
Satana.
I think that Gargoyle Man is magical in his powers. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like got yellow skin.
Yeah.
I forget what they call him.
I forget his name, too.
I mean, Wonder Woman has a lot of villains and mythology based stuff.
True.
Like I think,
Well, any of the gods, that would be
yeah,
magic.
I think doesn't she fight like Hades sometimes and
Yeah.
Calypso I think is one of her villains, like the witch. So it comes up, and Mr. Mxyzptlk from Superman is
That's
magical based.
That's
The little
true.
bowler hat guy.
That's true. I
So,
guess
you know, it comes up from time to time.
it does in his universe.
I feel like if you have magic powers, you'd probably want to go to Metropolis to start your criminal career. I mean, Batman is vulnerable to magic, but you feel like that would be
He's-
your niche in Superman's world because he's so vulnerable. It's the only thing he's really vulnerable to besides kryptonite.
True, but Batman's vulnerable to everything.
It doesn't seem that way, though.
But he is. I mean, because
Yeah.
he's just a guy. He's just a detective. But
Well, he's not vulnerable to kryptonite, though.
true. Oh, very true. Well,
Well,
yeah.
I think in the cartoon, the JLA cartoon, kryptonite exposure gave Lex Luthor cancer.
And
So
think
I think
about
it's
it.
bad for humans.
If
too.
right, and if you have a bolt like a rock of it, he's susceptible to getting hit in the head with it.
He's susceptible to rocks.
Yes.
He takes
Or
rock
bullets,
damage.
because isn't that how they got Superman one time with the kryptonite bullet?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway,
I would make a kryptonite Superman suit and hope that he accidentally changed into it.
paint the inside of it.
Mhm.
Ooh, that would be
Or
rough.
make his Clark Kent glasses, put some kryptonite dust on those.
Yeah, that would be hideous. So let us begin. And
Back in 1982.
back in old 1982, Superman and Masters of the Universe. So,
The perspective on that castle makes it look really small.
so up here they introduce Superman, and down here they introduce He-Man and everything. But this splash page, you've got good old Skeletor and the Beast, and
I must
He-Man.
defend my tiny house!
Well, that's not even his. Remember, he's always trying to get into Grayskull
Oh, okay.
because only the true Master
That's
of
He-Man's
Grayskull.
house?
You have to have both parts of. I think you have to have both parts of the sword,
Oh, gotcha.
but he's only wielding
You
one.
remember
and
more
he's-
about He-Man mythology than I do. It's weird that He-Man is like kind of like fantasy Conan the Barbarian kind of thing, but then they have like the Colonel's coming in with his jet blade. Like what?
know.
They've got like futuristic technology, but also they're medieval, vaguely medieval.
Yeah, and they do mention that in here.
Got cannons.
So you've got Superman, great Krypton, these magical bonds, they're draining my strength. And then the curse of the dark comes on me, or it comes, wait, dark ones be on you, Skeletor. Release the traveler from beyond or feel the wrath of He-Man. The fact that he talks about himself in third person.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
But yeah, this guy, his trainer, friend, dude.
That's He-Man's mentor.
Yeah, so we open up
He can't even match his boots.
in He-Man's world, and his mentor trainer is here, and they portray this is the prince, his alter ego, and they kind of make him out to be like he's just carefree and wants to drink beer and hang out and go after girls and that kind of stuff. They dumb him down, and so he's talking about how he needs this training, and his father, the king, he's responsible for training him up to be a good king, and so he wants him to battle this machine, and then he's watching, and it goes back to he's like, not like that. So he
It
goes,
just spins around.
yeah,
I mean,
and
how else was
supposedly
he supposed to battle it?
he was supposed to like unarm it or whatever, but he's like, but not like that. And come, venerated teacher, calm yourself. After all, I did stop the blasted thing, didn't I? And he throws his arms up. He's like, oh, but these outfits are too much. And
So He-Man is a prince,
he is a prince, and
when he doesn't call himself He-Man in this
No,
context.
no.
Why does he? Do people know he's He-Man?
well,
I mean, he looks exactly like He-Man. It's like Superman. Like he's
Yeah.
not putting much effort into looking different.
he's got the hair. He's got the
Yeah, he's the only one that's got the haircut.
So anyway, his venerated teacher leaves in a huff. He tosses the thing aside, and then the teacher's daughter comes in like, still causing my father grief. I see Prince Adam. He's like, welcome, lovely Tila. And so they kind of tease around, but she's strong herself. She throws
Oh,
that
wow.
thing. But then he ties it in. I know.
I think you wouldn't even use that to work out. If you're so strong that you just like crumple it up, it's not going to challenge you. Why do you even have that
Exactly.
in your gym?
But
Just
he's-
for when girls come by, be like, oh, just tying it into a knot.
This is my 100th knot. 101, 102. I know. It's ridiculous. Like,
1 million.
who knows he's He-Man and who doesn't, is what I was thinking when I was reading this.
They don't address that in this.
And then we cut back to Metropolis. And what's happening is the producer is working on a new entry or a new opening to the news where they were going to have Kent come walking up to the desk. And of course he trips and he's like, ah!
He does this stuff purposefully?
Yes. And he
That
talks.
must be so weird for him, being invulnerable. Like, how do I make it look convincing? And he accidentally bursts through the floor or something.
Well, and he's like, gee, Josh, guess I'm just not used to the show's new format. He goes, no new format. We're sticking. Can't have the public seeing you trip all over the place. And he's like, poor Josh. Sometimes I really hate doing these things to him. But I've got an image to maintain as Kent Klutzy.
I like how Superman's strategy for having a secret identity is so different from Batman. Batman's like super wealthy, and he's like, I want everyone to think I'm frivolous, and I just like to party all the time, and that's all I care about. And Superman's like, I'm gonna trip a lot and wear like these big dorky glasses.
And that's it.
And Batman's like, you don't want to be rich and party all the time? He's like, no, I think I'll go with these big dorky glasses. I've always liked falling. Pratfalls.
Yeah, it is kind of ridiculous. So he's getting in uniform to do his rounds, and we cut back to Prince Adam, and he's of course at a pub, and they're all singing and
I like the
Cringer.
coloring on Cringer.
Yes.
That's his panther's name, Cringer?
I believe that's how you pronounce it, Cringer.
Oh, there we go. Good
Yeah.
Cringer.
And he wants to be back at the palace in his corner. He doesn't
He's cringing.
He's like, it's so loud, it gives me a headache.
Oh, he talks? Oh, wow.
And then this tough guy comes up and he's starting to give Prince Adam, because if you can knock out the prince, there'll be a couple notches on your belt.
Yeah.
And Cringer's like, oh no, ignore him, Adam. He's just looking for trouble.
He's like, I used to have bangs too. Let's fight. I think you're so cool.
He's so cool with that page boy. And so they go outside, and he hits him and knocks him down. And so they all go outside, and Tila's trying to talk him into, just let it go, let it go. And then what do they call him? He's, don't you woman me, Adam. What would the king say if I allowed his only son to be made into mince pie in some tavern brawl, sorry. And he's going, at least he'd know I went down fighting like a man, not that I'd lose, mind you. She goes, you win? Ha! Did you see the size of that? Hush, hush, Tila.
Do you think Cringer likes wearing that weird purple hat?
Well...
A lot of cats don't like wearing clothes.
While they're outside, these guards' costumes are just so...
Why does everybody show so much leg in this kingdom?
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't it get cold there?
Everyone's in their underwear. I mean, that guy looks like he's got furry underwear on.
Yeah.
And as they're talking, the Prince Adam looks up and he sees the...
I don't think that kind of material breathes very well.
That's probably why he's so mad.
Yeah.
And
diaper rash.
he goes, since you've seen fit to ruin my evening, Tila, I see no reason in continuing. But he looks up and he sees the dark bird of prey.
Is that's like his bat signal?
Yes. And so he goes, till later, then come, Cringer. And so she's like, blast that fool. He always does this to me. He goes off to the cave, magic, and welcome to the cavern of power, sweet prince. And the goddess is there, and they get...
He-Man and Battle Cat.
He-Man and Battle Cat. So
that makes his alter ego so stupid too. Like, who's the guy that's got the weird hair bowl cut and has a green and orange cat?
They don't recognize him in less clothes. That's all.
It's like, maybe if I take off some of my clothes, most of them.
No one will know.
Yeah.
And you have a cat that's the exact same markings as Cringer.
He doesn't even pretend to be klutzy.
Yeah, that's it. But anyway, it's as always, mighty warrior. It's the evil of the demonic Skeletor, enemy eternal of thy world.
And Skeletor is the only villain I remember. Is that his only villain? He doesn't have like a whole rogues gallery. He just fights Skeletor over and over and over again.
And Skeletor always ends up just running away. Have you seen the memes on Instagram of Skeletor saying something like kind of controversial and weird, and then just till next time, and skittering away.
I've seen that.
So yeah, that's his MO. So
He's
anyway,
cowardly.
and you've got the Beast Man. And
Is that his face, or does he wear a mask?
I think that's him. I've never seen him with flesh.
Oh, jeez.
But he's got some. I mean, blue something. But anyway, his whole goal is to get into Castle Grayskull. That's what he wants. And he's explaining to the Beast here. And he's not even nice to his little lackey. But, and he's like, what does he say? How he needs both parts of the sword. But then he's like, but that's not going to stop me. And then they go. And he's trying to break into it, which, as Superman, we cut back to Metropolis, Superman out on his rounds, notices there's so much like disturbance in He-Man's world that it makes a magical disturbance in Metropolis, catching the eye of our our hero Superman, as he gets closer and he looks in with his x-ray vision and he can't see anything, this energy comes out, grabs him, and pulls him in. And he ends up coming down right where Skeletor is.
What a klutz.
Yes. And he goes, by the dark gods, the sky's open, and the castle Grayskull does send its agent to do battle with me. And
Cholo's beard, master. What will you do?
And so he wants to fight him and stuff. And
That
he
guy
actually,
looks like he's from Cats or something.
he does.
That's funky.
And he actually, his sword cuts Superman's,
Costume down.
which you can see shocks him. It's like, oh crap. So he grabs his arm and
He's
punches
wearing
him.
too many clothes for this universe. That's why he cut his costume.
Yeah, even Skeletor's got a little skirt on. But he punches him, grabs his arm, and socks him one. And then the beastie comes after him and grabs him. He goes, huh? You really ought to train your pets better, Skeletor, if they're not kinder to strangers. And he takes him and he flies
They're
up.
liable to get their noses slapped.
And then he drops and doesn't even catch him. And Skeletor's like, whatever. It's like, how is it that these lackeys are so loyal to people that don't care? You know?
It's an abusive relationship.
So they're fighting, and as they're fighting, here comes He-Man. And what does he say? Hold brave, Battle
Is
Cat.
he like being knocked underground? It's like his body.
I know, it's cutting right through the ground. And prepare yourself for attack. And that's when they are introduced. And they become friends. And Superman is explaining that he comes from Earth. And He-Man doesn't say anything, but he, acknowledges that he understands and everything. But in his mind, he's like, for is not my mother, the queen, a lost traveler from that very world?
His mom's from Earth?
Yes, his mother is an
wow.
Earthling. So he knows, but he doesn't let anybody know.
He's
And
not ready to reveal that.
yeah.
They just met.
he reveals everything else about himself, but not that. And so anyway, they're like, but we must waste no more time. Skeletor must be attended to with haste, always. Away, Battle Cat. And Superman's like, wish I knew what was going on here.
So where did they give Battle Cat like a beak looking thing?
Yeah.
Very bird-like.
Yeah.
And this guy looks like he's got a bucket hat on and he's in like a little golf cart.
Their
I don't like
costumes
that
are
guy.
kind of homoerotic, aren't they?
A little bit.
It's weird. It's an odd thing. And he's like, that cat of yours moves pretty fast, He-Man. And then Battle Cat's like, and I may go faster still, stranger, almost as fast as light itself. Uh-oh. Then you better get ready to go. It looks like we're getting some unexpected company. And their little helper shows up, and they sneak up, and you see Skeletor is back at trying to get into the castle. I mean, and if he only has that one part of the sword, why is he always trying to get in the castle? Why
This
is
time
he...
it'll work! Trust me!
That's exactly...
Stupid idiot. Well, he knows that He-Man will be drawn there and maybe he can get the other
sword.
But he's
yeah.
using an axe this time.
Right. And so they all go to confront him, and he's using his magic, and He-Man and Skeletor start fighting, and he uses his magic to grab Superman.
Oh.
Superman becomes under his spell and has to fight He-Man. He can't control it.
He noted it when he first met Superman. Oh, no.
Note to self.
Susceptible to sorcery.
Later that night,
He
gave
laughs
his-
a lot, too. I
Yes.
think there is a gay undercurrent going on. He's a little gleeful, This
Yes.
was...
Later in his diary, today. But anyway,
Now it's good to see that kind of representation in the early 80s.
And so anyway, they start fighting.
Laughing again.
And and I shall be quite the battle indeed, or it shall be quite the battle indeed. And it is a contest between the strongest men of two dimensions.
He's almost like a medieval style Joker. The way that Joker's always kind of like insanely
Or
laughing.
kind of a cross between the Joker and the Riddler.
Yeah.
Kind of.
With the color scheme, definitely. With the purple. I think
Yeah.
sometimes. Is Riddler purple or green? I associate him with purple for some reason.
So anyway, they fight, and they get off a few good hits and everything.
It's weird that he's also, for how homoerotic it is, he's also got kind of like an Iron Cross logo on him, which is like a Nazi thing, I think.
Well,
I mean, I don't think that's what they were going for,
No,
but it's like
no.
reminiscent of that.
it's kind of like a biker thing
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so Skeletor's like, you possess the might needed to smash your way into Castle Grayskull, so that I may at last make it my own.
It's so weird that they didn't draw anything but his face,
But
so
his
it looks
face.
like he put a bunch of clothes on for just a second.
He goes, go, caped one, do your master's bidding. And so he sends him to get a good run at the castle. And Superman is thinking to himself that he knows that he's under his control, but if he could get his mind off for a second, it might break that spell. So he uses, as he passes and approaches the castle, he uses his heat vision to make like a bubbly mess of the soil and sinks Skeletor in, and then it starts to harden by the Dark Ones, and such as harden into super tough prison to hold you. And then he goes, while I get free of your magical hold. Frankly, Skeletor, you impress me less and less as we go along.
Damn.
So rough.
Cutting.
So he's like, well, you can't hold me. He's like, mock me if you will, but you're not going to hold me. I'll get a new spell. But it takes him just a moment to, have to think of one. And he goes, maybe so, Skeletor, but I have to let you cast it first. And good to have you back with us, friend, Superman.
I feel like it's lazy character design that both He-Man and his only like primary villain both have like the cross belt thing going on.
Well, it's
Like
reminiscent of the history, maybe like a history that people want to think
Yeah.
existed. But
It was just everybody like, if you're good, you're evil, you probably wore this X-shaped belt thing. No shirt.
Yeah. But, it's just, I think, a way to identify certain...
Do they keep anything in it? It doesn't look like it has pouches.
I know. You'd think
more
Batman
of a
would have
security
that loaded
blanket.
up with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he'd have his shark repellent in there.
So he goes, good to be back, He-Man. Now, if you allow me, by all means, sir. And you can see that he's charging up, and then all of a sudden he's gone. That is such an awkward-looking panel. And so he disappears, and they chat. And
It looks like he was holding in a fart and then he lost his concentration. He's like, did he hear that?
He goes, but thanks to your timely assistance, this attempt at domination came to naught. That's my job, friend. But I've got to admit, I still don't understand a lot of what just went on. It can be explained if that is your wish. And Superman's, yeah, that's all right. And he takes off.
And
But
he
then
can
it's-
just go back to his own universe. Just
well, he noticed that the cloud, the magic thing was dispersing, and he noticed that there was just enough, for
looks
him
like
to be
there's
able
just enough to wrap this up. Bye.
Yep. See ya. And then
So it's a one-off. It's not even like a multi-week or multi-month
yeah,
story.
but then they're gonna have a Master of the Universe free insert.
So this to me was like, oh, let's get people interested in He-Man by having a long-established character have a unsatisfying adventure with him.
Yeah, kind of.
People will be so impressed. They're like, I gotta see this guy without Superman.
Exactly.
He's a klutz. He's always tripping on wires. He-Man. He wears that X belt thing.
He-Man is.
I love this art. I like
Yeah.
the detail and the wavy lines.
So this is whatever happened to
Sandman.
Sandy the Golden Boy. And we open with this guard,
Roger Phelps.
and he likes to guard the construction site built for York City Hospital. And he explains he likes the cool morning, the breeze, and the phantasmal mood. It's like a dream. On this morning, he has no idea. Just now, right behind him, and this guy walks out, Sandman, which is it's an
I
interesting
like
look.
that version of Sandman. It's a cool
Yeah.
character design.
Yeah, I do love what Neil Gaiman did to Sandman, though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That was so. Anyway, he uses his sand to put him to sleep, and it, all it does to good people is to put them to sleep, have
What
nice
does it do
little
to bad
dreams.
people?
Well, I think it can send you into nightmares,
Oh, okay.
but then he's remembering what had transpired in his past, and he recalls that a day years ago when he and his young aide Sandy tested the experimental silicoid gun, and it went
Something
off.
went wrong.
Yes, and it infused Sandy, and his body became.
That's why so many people want to get into science, because if your experiment works, it's good. If it goes wrong, you'll still probably get powers.
Oh yeah, definitely powers. I don't know.
He was sick with guilt and self-loathing.
Yeah.
He visited a psychiatrist who found a solution.
Put him into a trance, made him forget
I feel like
all
if your
about it.
psychiatrist is trying to hypnotize you, you gotta find a new one.
Unless they're going to turn you into a chicken. Then
Yeah.
you'd be a chicken.
Well, that's what we all want. is to
Have
be
you ever
chickens.
gone to a hypnosis show?
Not that I know. Maybe I have, and I was programmed to forget it.
Ooh.
Have you?
Yes.
Where?
Yeah, back
When?
at Northern.
Really?
Yeah, they had a hypnosis.
Did they hypnotize you?
No, I never got picked from the audience on anything. But
What did he make people do?
like dance or be a chicken or
Really?
Did
it
that
really
kind of
work?
stuff. Yeah, and some people.
Did
Yeah.
some people go up there and they're just like,
Some people just kind of sat there like, and didn't really respond. But you could tell that they were kind of like, I don't know, like they were there, but they were like out of it or something. But they didn't like get up and do what he. But a lot of people did.
that's
It
weird.
was yeah. So anyway, this guy hypnotizes them to forget what happened because he couldn't change Sandy back, and so anyway, that was years ago. I put Sandy in the hospital to cure him, but what had happened was an earthquake caused the hospital to collapse, killing everybody inside.
Oh, God.
So he came out of his hypnosis and began remembering things. And
Wouldn't
he
that
goes,
suck
I
to
can't
come out
believe-"
of your hypnosis and you're driving? Wait, what the hell? I'm driving a car.
Well, no, so he decided to hunt down Sandy because he's like, oh my God, Sandy was in that hospital. So, and he's like, I can't believe he's dead. I won't believe it. He's out there somewhere. And then we go to Acme Wrecking Company, where Sandy is being held by the Shatterer.
That's a crazy costume. That
Yes.
little mohawk fin
And
thing.
his little slits for eyes.
Yeah, it seems like it would really limit your vision.
But he's using Sandy's powers to blackmail the city. And apparently the hospital was like a victim of his doing. But anyway, right here, it starts to tell the story about how he is blackmailing the Museum of York City. And they don't want to pay him. But he's like, you're not going to pay, even after what I did to the hospital? Well, all right. And so he's going to use Sandy's powers, gravitational powers, and
Oh, jeez. He
His
has an
little-
earthquake machine.
from normal
It's a slider.
to quake. Yeah, it's a
It could
slider.
be like one quake. He just
Nope.
times it.
He all the way
Damn.
to 11. And so there goes the museum. That, like, what people wouldn't pay? A museum being destroyed? That's nuts. All that stuff.
I want to know, what is it like before you're to quake? There's no quake, but you're just on the edge of normal. What is that like?
You're on the edge of normal until when? Like, when
I
does...
think that dividing line, as soon as you get across there,
Oh.
that's like the smallest quake amount you can have. But what if you're the least normal, but you're not in the quake yet? What is that like?
The most normal. But
Yeah,
you're
what
not-
is the most normal like? I don't know. I'm just wondering how come there's so
Yeah, you
so
think
many
it...
lines. You're like, I'm gonna park it here. You're like, is that an earthquake? No.
Is it?
Is that
Is it?
moving? No.
That's, yeah, good point. Good point.
Oh, that's a cool panel.
So and oddly enough, and he notices himself that all those years that he was hypnotized, he lived above the lab that's all transpired in
He
the
didn't
past.
know what was going on?
Right, he just totally didn't know that lab existed because it was hypnotically taken away from him. So anyway, he uses his locating powers to find Sandy, and he goes and woof, he flies in, and the Shatter is like, is it really him? He comes in and smacks him, and
A sand grenade.
Sandy's like, the Sandman, is it you? Sandy, hold on, I'll free you. And Shatter's like, if I were you, I wouldn't count my chickens, Sandman. And before they're shattered.
Don't count your chickens before they're
They're
shattered.
shattered.
That's what I always say. ...
He's a boomer. Don't count your chickens, Sandman. ... Before they're shattered.
Boomers are always just skating from one panel to the next. That's why they do that.
Exactly. And he's like being shaken up. So he's got this earth shaking.
He gets over it pretty quick, though.
Well, he's
I like
shaking.
those motion lines and the color.
Yes, but he's like, can't barely reach, and he throws sandstorm capsule.
Oh, my
That'll
mistake. It
shake
has a
him
very similar effect.
to dreamland. And after the grainy guardian has freed the prisoner, a long overdue reunion. So he explains it to Sandy. It's a long story, blah, 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 ... And Sandy's huge. But he explains to him, but while I was under hypnosis, subconsciously, I was working on a cure because I have an idea. And he runs over to the lab and starts mixing things up, and an explosion, bada boom, yada, yada, yada. And he's normal. And he goes, I hope you're enjoying your reunion. And then,
Oh, he's back already?
Yes, he's back already.
They didn't think to put him in jail?
I know. And Sandman's like, stand back, Sandy, I'll try to. He goes, you stay back, Wes. That quaky feeling is coming back. And he starts quaking, and he opens up the earth below the Shatter.
Kills him.
And he shuts it up. And he's like, and he's feeling bad about it. And he was like, he was trying to kill us, Sandy. And maybe those poor hospital patients rest a little easier now.
God.
It's like, that's dark. So they catch up and they walk off into the sunset. Partners again. But they're saying, then we'll ask ourselves, is there a place for the Sandman and Sandy in today's world? And they ask us.
Is there?
Is there?
Well, readers, is there? That's weird.
I think so.
I guess. Do they mean that because it's like a golden age hero, Sandman?
Yeah,
So
maybe
it's
they
like-
thought about bringing him back then.
Yeah.
But and I don't remember when Neil Gaiman brought Sandman.
I feel like those B stories at the end are less common in the newer comics.
Yes, definitely.
In these older comics, you get a weird little unsatisfying story stapled onto the larger.
Well, I don't think that one was unsatisfying.
It was all right. It was all right.
It was quick, but
Yeah, some of the things happened really fast. Like, oh, he might get him. No, they got him right away.
yeah.
And then he comes back, and they're like, oh,
And they
no,
get him again.
he was swallowed by the earth. So he really didn't stand much of a chance against us at all.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you.